Hello. So here we are. This is what we're calling the rain forecast, and we're going to be talking to you about the matches from the weekend. We did try and bring you a match forecast to begin with, but some tech issues have led us to now giving you someone who's been following the rain for the last 6 years, ever since they began, and I have also been part of the Royal Guards ever since. And now we have with us Jessica. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. So we've been season ticket holders for the Rain since I think 2014. And I've only really been following soccer since that point. So I am here to be the voice of the semi-new people to soccer. That is to say, there are still times when I think I know all of the rules to soccer, and just when I think I understand completely what offsides is, something happens on the field, and I'm like, wait, what? What is that? So I will bring my semi-informed opinion to the rain forecast, and I will be asking questions like if they start saying things like, well, she's really more of an 11, but he's playing her like a 4. I'll be like, what? I have a very ballpark idea of the lower numbers mean something defensively-ish, higher might mean offense or something, but specifically I have no idea. So that's me. I should say I'm also known as Mom of the Dude, for those who have seen Rain Recap with the Dude. I am the dude's mom.
Yay!
The dude.
And we have Karen with us. Karen, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I started following the Rain in the second year of National Women's Soccer League because I am from Southern California. So I don't have a team down here or anywhere in this long freaking state. So I wanted to at least watch the first season and just be like a fan of all of the teams, and then use that season to kind of figure out who I wanted to be a fan of. So I figured I would probably pick something that was like on the West Coast, and I was stuck between Portland Thorns and Seattle Rain. Funnily enough.
You chose correctly.
Yes, I know I did. So what happened was the Thorns won the season, and I was like, well, I'm not picking the team that just won the championship. That's so lame. I'm not going to be a bandwagon fan. And I was also a fan of Hope Solo and Megan Rapinoe already. So I was like, this is great. And we have a team that's like second to last. And I was like, I like those odds because I like kind of following that kind of underdog team. So I went with the Rain, and I've been a fan of them since then. And I'm not going to change anytime soon, even if we get a team down here in LA. So that's a little bit about me and my Rain fanning, I guess.
So cool. So obviously for hardcore fans of the Rain, this season's been something spectacular. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about both what we've done with the team as well as your outlook for the season. Jessica, can you?
Oh, sure. Make the uninformed one go first. I can't just live off of what you guys say. I will admit that my screen for you froze a little bit, Romel. So you're asking me what I think of the new team, or I didn't catch some of the question.
Well, it's still the Rain, so yeah. Right. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts?
And of course, right when you're in the middle of the question, it freezes again for me. So at the end of the question. I think like a lot of Rain fans, because we had such consistency from year to year, I got really used to the team that we had on the field. I knew who everybody was. I knew kind of what to expect from everybody. And, we also had a female head coach, which, as someone who was a little on the feminist side, just a little bit, that was really nice, and it created a certain atmosphere. And so I think all these changes in the off season, I think coming into the game, while, I could look at individual players that had been picked up and see that they were great players, I just didn't know a ton of what to expect with the whole team together. But I have to say, being out there yesterday, it was great. I wasn't one of the fans that completely didn't welcome this. I kind of saw we needed to make a change. The last 2 years just wasn't working. I don't know what piece and all of that wasn't working, but the defense was having a hard time last year. But we would, on paper, we looked good, but we would get to the game and it just wasn't happening for whatever reason. Watching them yesterday, it was exciting. It moved very quickly. It was good to see, the aggressive attack. At least for the first half, we struggled a bit through the second half, which I think is to be expected. But I was really impressed.
And your thoughts on what we maybe this season?
My thoughts on what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear this.
Your thoughts on what we perhaps.
Oh, I did it again, right in the middle of your question. I don't know why it waits till you're in a question. Say it one more time.
India. Geography, man.
Next time we'll write the questions on a card and you can hold them up so that when it freezes, you have time to read it. Now you're just messing with us.
Go ahead, ask the question.
Oh yeah, I think his question is what you think the team will look like this season.
Wow.
I know.
It's really hard to know. Because we've had a team the past couple of years that's looked really good on paper and then really been challenged on the field. It's hard for me to know because, again, looking at the roster looks amazing. We have a lot of really, really good, really talented players out there. I think the first half gave me reason to hope. But I think that they do need some time to gel. Like, this is a team that hasn't played a ton altogether. We're about to go into another international break. And we have a bye week, so we have I think 22 days or 21 days now until the next match that we're in. Yeah. So, it's a challenge when you just don't get that much time for the whole team to be in one place at the same time. That's where all of the individual talent comes in because we have really good players, but they also still need time to get to know how to play with each other. My hope for the team is that as they gel, that the defense is able to be a little bit more consistent than what I saw yesterday. And there's just a little bit more coordination in the attack because I felt like it was good yesterday, but on both sides, it felt like they were scrambling a bit.
Yeah. Cool. You want to take this, Karen?
Yeah. So basically for me, the game yesterday was, I would say mostly I was just very heartened by it because of the effort that I saw everybody putting in. And that's kind of how I am as a soccer fan. I tend not to be as analytical stats-wise, and I'm more like, how emotionally invested am I in the game and in the team? And I was super emotionally invested yesterday because I could tell that the team was emotionally invested. And I think that's really what a lot of Reign fans like about that team is that there is that emotional component to being a fan of that team, including all of the ups and the downs. But yeah, I think the players were just like 100% going for everything that first half. As far as like our attacking players, Taylor and Bev and Naho were doing amazing defensive work. And Ali Long was doing a really, really great job holding down the fort in the center of the pitch. And I don't know how many Reign fans there are who were very disappointed in Ali Long coming onto the team, but I think after yesterday, they should probably be less disappointed because she did a fantastic job in a similar way that I think Keelan Winters used to do for the team in that center of the pitch. I don't think Keelan Winters is somebody that's ever going to be replaced per se, but that like anchor that you need in the middle of the pitch that can set plays up for the attacking players, I think that Ali Long can do that. And I think that she makes it so that Jess Fishlock can maybe start playing a little bit further up once they start figuring out and like gelling and kind of making that connection between the midfield and the forwards. It was extremely exciting to see Megan Rapinoe just like coming out on fire. That whenever Megan Rapinoe is playing like that, it's always good for the team, for the whole team. I think it kind of sets everybody else on fire, and I think that's what happened in the first half. I was really excited about how Jodie Taylor was playing. She was kind of biting at that back line the whole game, and then also doing that defensive work, and that was exciting. And as far as the defense, like you said, Jessica, I think last year that was a major issue for the team. So it was really good to see Vlatko really pulling in so much defense. It makes me think that maybe he's trying, not really to experiment, but at least trying to figure out that back line in a way that he probably noticed as FCKC coach last season was a problem. Something that he could exploit last year. He's probably trying to fix now. So, I mean, that's exciting to know that we have Yael Averbush and Megan Oyster and like Nielsen and Westfall, who did a really great job when Reign came down here to Southern California to play. I was particularly kind of watching the Boston players, and she did amazing on the back line. So she's going to be a good player to have in there. Obviously, Lauren Barnes was great. She felt like she was back to her usual self because she did have a couple of iffy games, I think, last season, but she was on top of it. The only thing is that second half, it kind of did start breaking down a little bit. And I don't want to say that it was tired legs because I think the Reign is probably one of the most fit teams, but I would say they kind of just started breaking down the strong lines that the defense had in the first half. They were kind of breaking. How many times can I say the word breaking? But they,
well, it'll be interesting to see when all of our starting defense is there. I mean, Yael was out ill. I think Catley is on international duty. She's a defender. Yes, please somebody tell me I got that right.
Yeah. No, I forgot about Catley. But yeah, our Australians are still playing in Asia, so you're right.
It'll be interesting to see.
We'll have Rumi and Naho as well this time, missing for.
Oh yeah, defense as well.
Well, and plus we were playing a team that is like 75% forwards. So the challenge if the ball gets to the midfield or gets to the forwards, you're going to have to. It's a different. I would imagine a different kind of defense. Because you've got all of these people who are good.
Yeah,
I get the ball in net. So
true.
Right. Cool. So very quickly, I'll give you my thoughts as well. I think the reason I became a Reign fan was the minute. I mean, of course, everyone heard about the NWSL coming into play in 2000. I think this was December 2013, something like that. But yeah, there were a whole bunch of these new teams that were announced, and who I would be picking, or what would interest me as the league as a whole. How would we be able to see matches? Because while I was following a few teams around the world, I mean, I was an Arsenal fan, of course. But yeah, the big question was how would we watch matches? And I think the one thing that turned me into a Rain fan was, of course, the minute Treadmore reached across the pond and picked so, so yeah, it was therefore particularly something that really pinched me to see Harvey leave over the season. And there were, of course, the questionable picks when it comes down to not. There's no question in terms of the quality of the players, of course. Just a question in terms of maybe past behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That was. I mean, in all fairness, well thought of and well picked on. I stayed a Rain fan purely because, I mean, I completely love the personalities we have on the team. Fishy, Pino, even the new kids, McNabb,
Yeah.
and to see Betos coming back. I mean, Betos was the person who basically saved the asses back in 2013, before Hope came in full time. So nothing but absolute love for her. So super going to be a strong season. So to take it from there, let's kind of look at the first half. Your thoughts on the first half, Calvin?
Yeah, first half we were amazing in the first half. It was a solid. The line of forwards were, like I said, the defensive work was amazing. The second we lost the ball, we got it back immediately. And then they would play the ball out of pressure, and it was perfect because then we could set it up again and then go at the Washington defense, go at Bledsoe. Honestly, in the first half, we were so fantastic with our attacks. We just kept hammering. I honestly, I feared for Bledsoe. Like, she was getting hammered, but she was amazing. I think the score would have been a lot crazier if she wasn't as good as she was. As far as the defense was also pretty solid in the first half. And the midfield was probably the strongest I've seen our midfield since Kim Little days. They were really, really great at controlling the field, really good at moving from defense to the strikers. They did everything that you want your midfielders to do. And Betos, obviously, I mean, she was great. I think the one thing that I will say that I noticed is that her delivery does need some work. As far as playing out of the back, goal kicks, things like that. But I mean, she did her work between the nets that she needed to do, and she was fantastic. So I mean, just front to back, we were just so good on every single level. And it was exactly what I wanted to see from the team, and I was super excited about it. I didn't expect much worse than that from Vlatko Andonovski. I mean, seeing what he's done with the FCKC group, I knew that we were at least going to put out a good product. I didn't realize it was going to be as good as we saw, though. I was kind of trying to set the bar a little bit lower as far as expectations so that I wasn't totally crushed. But they surprised me, not surprised me, that makes me sound like such a jerk. They made me very happy. They made me very happy. It wasn't a surprise, but they made me very happy. So it was a fantastic first half from the Rain, and I was extremely impressed. They just need to kind of keep that as
Sorry, I lost you there.
Oh, sorry. They need to just keep what they did in the first half throughout the second half. But I mean, it was an amazing first half from the team. I was so impressed with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Jessica, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a ton to add. I mean, Karen was pretty thorough in breaking that down. Well, she's smarter than me when it comes to soccer. So, but, you know, my thoughts, I realized as you were talking, I was realizing that when I watch the game, I really tend to watch my own players and not the other team as much. And so I think with Ali Long coming into us from Portland, I didn't have a ton of an idea of what to expect from her because I had not directly, specifically paid them that much attention. Yeah, you know, I will say, you know, as a Reign fan, it felt weird to cheer for her at first, but you know, I think I was really impressed at her effort. She was 100% there. You know, she was in there, you know, making plays, getting the ball back, clearly committed to doing what she needed to do for the team. And, you know, that really, you know, that impressed me. And I really appreciated her performance.
So, I mean, I think that the one point that I would like to make is that, in a way, the fact that Long got, you know, cut from the Portland roster and was traded to, you know, absolute rivals, Seattle.
Yeah.
I think she's really playing with, you know, a point to prove. And I absolutely cannot wait for, you know, the next time we face Portland. I think she's really going to bring it at that. You know,
yeah, she's going to have a chip on her shoulder, and it's going to be.
I kind of joked on Twitter because she brought up in the at the season ticket holders event when they did the kit reveal. You know, she did say that she hoped that we could forgive us for having played for the Reign, and I jokingly said on Twitter, "Well, you know, get a couple goals and foul a few of your former teammates." But maybe I didn't need to say that last part. Maybe she'll have her own.
I think she'll handle it.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off there in the middle, but please go ahead.
Well, again, like I said, I don't know that, and when it specifically comes to the first half, that I have a ton to add. Really, you know, it was a really great way to start off the season. Like they came out, they were energetic. Watching Pinot bend that ball into the net was just beautiful. You know, like she was really on fire. And you know, that was just so nice to see, and that happened so early in the first half. And I think that just the energy in the stadium was up for the rest of the game.
She nutmegged 2 players in a row at one point, and then got a foul right after that, and I was just like, ah! Like I thought I was gonna faint for a second. It was so intense.
Yeah. She's such a fun player to watch, really.
Yeah.
She is. No, I think more than ever before, I think a little more responsibility, but he's also given a fair amount of freedom that I don't think she's had with the Reign before. I could see her, you know, run. She was practically, you know, as much all over the pitch as probably Long was, which also brings me to the point that I think this was, of course, first match of the season. We have incredibly short preseasons here. So it's not like the team did get too much of a chance to kind of gel together.
Mm-hmm.
We was, of course, coming into the match again, we, like you said before, we didn't have Catley in place. This is probably the first you know, serious match that Oyster and Barnes were playing together. Rumi was in a position that she's completely unfamiliar with, left back. Like, hello. You know, so there were like a lot of question marks across the pitch when I saw the you know, roster come out. But I think there were 2-3 things that stood out for me. I think long that she put in, but just because of where she was on the pitch, I think she made a few mistakes that were absolutely would have been fatal if Betos hadn't like saved their asses. So that was one thing, and I think the other thing was that just the whole placement of where Bev was, playing a deeper forward, just above the midfield. I think that was genius. She, I think she completely pulled apart because of how she ran at them. Uh, Pino got so much of space because there were defenders that didn't know whether they should go for her or kind of cover for where Bev was running into space. So it was gorgeous. That uh, of course, and like I think Can pointed out, uh, we still need to figure out Betos and her initiating play. I think that was something that we really. I think the team was caught out a bit. There were times when the team would kind of move out, awaiting her, like just like fall short of even where our players were. So, and everyone would have to suddenly track back to kind of retrieve that ball. So I think her delivery needs a lot of work. I think it's something that we did know about, but the players were still kind of caught unawares with going into this match. Of course, Betos again is not our frontline goalkeeper for the season. I think Lydia will have that space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was like a incredible performance that first half. So yeah, moving on to second half. Jessica, your thoughts?
1 second.
Yeah.
Before we move on, one thing that occurred to me, like, when I actually printed out for myself, like pictures of people in the roster because there's so many new players to get to like know everybody. I'm like, where is this? I was ready for the forecast. I took notes. I have footnotes. I talked to Matt Coate from the Breakers so that I was like, fill me in on the Breaker players because I don't know anything. Yeah. I'm saying that like that's how we did it on Messenger,
Yay! So that was a shout out to Matt Coate, by the way.
Oh yeah.
We had such depth. Like looking at this roster, I didn't have a one. Like I knew clearly I could pick out like several players that I absolutely knew were starting, but there were several players or positions where I was like, which of these several very good players are going to end up out there. So that's one thing that I feel like Vlatko has done is built like such great depth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately one of the consequences of what happened with Breakers during the off-season. Never would we have dreamt of such large rosters, especially this season.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got those numbers there. We've got the fact that there are players like Andrews and Westfall on that bench, players that have started for the break.
Yep.
And this is like another little bit of tidbit. I mean, I have always fancied seeing Oyster, in a rain jersey, and to see that actually happen this year, I was like, oh my god! Finally, that was immense, and she did awesome. I think she was one of our standouts for the entire match.
She was solid for sure.
Yeah,
she was.
So I mean, of course, some inconsistency, some I think a bit of fine tuning in terms of how she and Barnes kind of play together. But so really happy. Anyway, so we'll take on the second half now. Your thoughts, Jessica?
I think when it comes to the Spirit, given their highly unusual consistency in terms of like, as I said before, like a team that's 75% forwards, I think it was hard for us to predict going in what it was going to be like to face that team. And I think obviously in the second half they made adjustments. They went into the locker room, they kind of broke down how and where we were getting through them, and they made some adjustments and were able to get a lot more possession in the second half. I think what I saw a lot of was a lot of, I said kind of scrambling before, where I felt like the pass accuracy was not what it could be. But I also just saw a lot of really intense, like your players seemed to be everywhere, and they were everywhere getting to the ball faster. I think, that our defense is going to, one thing that I worried about with our team in the past couple of years was their ability to adjust. Like once the league caught up to what they were doing, they could not, they needed to change how they were playing, or at least I think I remember hearing Harvey say, this technique works if you do it well enough. So maybe we just weren't doing it well enough, but I felt like I worried in the past several seasons about our team adjusting as they were being figured out and making sure that they have more than one tactic, more than one way to operate on the field, so that when you're playing a team, they go in at the halftime and they come out and they're ready to take you apart, you have something else to shift to doing, so that they're not ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I, obviously I felt like we looked a little bit more tired in the second half and a little bit more like we were scrambling. So hopefully that's something that will come together better as the team gets more time together and as they, they address what weaknesses they saw on the field.
Yeah. Karen?
Yeah, I think just going off of that, I think that Spirit definitely did figure us out, and they adjusted, and Mel Pugh started doing what she does best, and that's taking on our midfielders and our defense and winning when she took them on. And the substitution of Loman coming on, we just weren't able to shut her down the way that we should have been able to. And she did that ridiculous European back roll and then the shot into the goal. And that was just a moment of brilliance that sometimes just happens. And you just have to clap for the player or not if you're less of a nice person and just move on. But I think we should have been able to shut her down better than we did. She started running circles around us. So I mean, that's partly her just coming out wanting to prove herself, and partly us not doing too well. And I think I probably touched on this before, but also playing out from the back, we were struggling at doing that. And that's usually not something that the Reign has trouble with. It wasn't something they had trouble with in the first half. But then all of a sudden they started having trouble with it. Spirit were pouncing on their balls. And that's just the worst thing that I could have possibly Oh, no. There we go. But all of our passes were being cut out by the Spirit, and they were doing to us what we did to them in the first half, a little bit more. We were just lucky that we were scrappy enough and strong enough to keep them from tying and getting a second goal in there, and also Betos. I mean, granted, on the other half, I mean, we had that Naho shot that would have gone in if Bledsoe hadn't gotten her hand up. We had a couple of other plays. Pino had a really good through ball that was given to her, and she almost scored, but Bledsoe, again, made a really good save on the floor. So, I mean, there were a couple of times when we did figure it out and we did get shots on goal. It wasn't like we didn't have any shots on goal in the second half. But it wasn't the fire that we got in the first half. And like you said, Jessica, maybe tired legs, or who knows what happened, if it was just the Spirit figured us out and then we hadn't adjusted or what. But I think that's something that, first game nerves in front of your home fans. You're trying to kind of show them what you've got, and show them that they should be paying to sit in those seats and watch you play. And that would make me nervous. I'm not a professional soccer player by any means, but I mean, I would be nervous in that situation. Ali Long, I think, Jody Taylor, I think those two players especially had a lot to prove, especially considering kind of, I don't want to say scandal, because like this isn't like a crazy like Thursday night show on NBC or something like that, but like they had a little bit of controversy coming in to the team for whatever reasons. So, I mean, they have a lot to prove as well. So, I mean, everybody was kind of just, it was the first game. And I think that second half, it kind of just went, ooh, and we were just lucky to get out with 3 points. But we did it. So, huzzah, I guess.
Well, and I will say in regards to the scandal, I know that, one of the Royal Guard who does our Twitter, with in discussion with several of us, had posted at the time, that Ali and Jody were treated, about concerns we had.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm not giving anything away here, Ryan. I hope I'm not doing that. That Jody actually reached out and responded, and acknowledged that she knew that her actions had harmed some people. And demonstrated that she was trying, and that she was receptive to the feedback, and that she was committed on some levels to doing better going forward.
That's perfect.
Yeah, the fact that she responded, you never know when you put things out on social media whether the players see them or not, whether they take them seriously or not, how much they do or don't care, and I think that we were heartened by that.
Absolutely.
That is really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak too much because I didn't actually see the communication, so I don't know exactly what she said. The person who does the Twitter let me know that she'd responded, and that she was demonstrating that she's trying. So
awesome.
That is cool. That's good. Yeah. I mean, as possibly that is also one thing that I am super proud of. The Royal Guard itself is how representative. I mean, that is really heartening to hear about Taylor reaching out. That's the least you would perhaps expect from her. And I'm glad she did that. So yeah, I mean, coming back to the second half, I think I'll just quickly share a couple of notes. I think one is that I think I would say I'm definitely happy to see that the team didn't kind of crumble under pressure. We kind of definitely did hold out. I think to think back that we really didn't know what to do at that point. We tried to kind of manage the game. You could see a lot of play, being rather aimless. There was passing without any kind of need to get up to the opposition. We were going down channels just to kind of keep the ball, and it was it did hurt us. Suddenly, the spirit, I think, kind of firing. They started moving into channels that weren't really accessible to them before, but they kind of made that happen. So I'm giving them a lot of points for that because they're a really young team, and they did figure out a whole bunch of things during the second half, and they looked really dangerous. So yeah, I think up to the point where Loman came in and scored that fantastic goal. I think we were a little bit of a team trying to figure out and I think that goal kind of really was the kick in the pants that we needed. and you did see a little bit of a change in movement after that. Uh, Also, I would point out that while I think this is a really strong sport, I am uh, a little apprehensive about the kind of attack power that we've got coming off the bench. I don't think Spencer really added any sort of a new dimension or any sort of new energy to the game once she came on. Uh, but perhaps the one person that I was was Morgan Andrews. I think Morgan came on with a certain swag in the midfield. She really bossed it. She was, in there, flying into tackles. She was making her presence felt. Suddenly we seemed to kind of have a momentum shift the minute she came into play. So I think we're going to see a lot more of her. And I think perhaps our saving grace for the entire match was just much than the opposition. I think between her, the effort that Pino put in front, and the sort of effort that Long put in the midfield, I think that was possibly the highlights for me for the second half as well. And yeah, Betos with her amazing saves.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll kind of take a small wrap on the match itself. Karen, you want to go for it first?
Yeah, I'll go for my emotional stick because that's my thing. I honestly I just the biggest thing that I took away, even with all of like the little nitpicky things that I had problems with in the second half, especially, is that everybody looked super hungry. Every single player was just like famished, like they wanted to win, and you could like feel it. I'm sure you could feel it in the stands, Jessica. I could feel it watching the stream, like the really crappy stream that was happening on my computer. I could still feel how hungry they were. All the way to like Vlatko, whenever they scored a goal, the way that they just like all exploded on the sideline, and everybody on the team, like staff, coaches, all of the players were hugging, were excited, high fives, whatever, the giant pile of people that happened after goals. And whenever that happens, it's just like there's just like this chain reaction for like the fans as well. It's just so heartening to watch a team be that emotionally invested and passionate about what's happening, especially as a fan, down here. To watch that and to know that at least, no matter what happens, at least that what they want to do. At least you feel like they wanna win for themselves, for you as a fan, for their coach. And I think Vlatko is like that as well. I think he feels like he probably has a lot to prove, and I think they did prove themselves. For me, they were the best team of the weekend. And I'm not just saying that bias. Like they were the best team of the weekend. So that's really good to see. And yeah, I'll stop there. I'll stop on my emotional thing, and you guys can go.
Well,
I'll just step in for a bit. Yeah, I completely agree with the best team of the weekend, but I would definitely add that we probably had the crappiest stream of the weekend as well. I think the optics were just not good at all. So, I mean, it was terrible. It was just terrible. I don't think, a lot of people had kind of thought in terms of what was happening. The lights were just not adequate enough. I think we had a lot of banners on the side that branding forward, but what eventually began happening was that we were seeing a lot of Seattle players in their dark jerseys against dark backgrounds, and there's no way we could make out what was happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of things to work on there, especially on the video front. But yeah, Jessica, your thoughts?
My thoughts, kind of similar to what Karen was saying. Was my takeaway was that this is a team that's coming on the field feeling like they have something to prove. I hear rumors that the ticket sales for this year were down, largely to people not being happy about all the changes in the team. I don't know what to extent that's true or not. And I feel like the team came out and demonstrated, like, we are here to play. Whether you come and see us or not, we're out here to play. We're out here representing your city. We're out here on the field. We care. We want to make this the best team that we can. And I felt like they put on a show. I mean, yes, they did struggle in the second half. And you're right. I think that the goal from Lohman, which, shout out to Lohman, by the way, because coming back from an ACL tear is no easy feat. So, congrats to her, really. They struggled, and that kind of woke them up a bit. But I did feel like overall, every player that was out there, was, as Karen said, hungry. And I think, with our players coming to us from the Boston Breakers, they were on a team that had struggled the past several years. And I think that there may be a part of them that's on the field trying to prove, hey, I belong in this league. Like, I am a professional player. I've earned my space here, and, I'm here to win. And, we welcome them. We're excited to have them, and not excited, obviously, for losing Boston, but glad that we could be a home for them. I'm also someone who I was actually born in the Boston area and moved back there for college and lived there for about 8 years in total. So, losing the Breakers, they were kind of my second team, is tough, but I'm really excited to have them on the team. And, again, Allie definitely had something to prove. I think getting traded from Portland is probably hard on the ego. She's also been seeing a little less time on the national team. A little bit more in that last game, but, I feel like everyone's on the field with something to prove. And, and our older players are there, to prove, that they can get back to where they were in 2014 and 15. So, on the whole, I left the game excited to see, what this team could do.
Yeah, and you know what? During that, during the press conference, like, it's not really a press conference. The questions, interviews during the season ticket holder function or whatever. I know that they mentioned that, like, I don't know who it was, but some women's soccer writer mentioned that they didn't put Seattle Reign in their playoffs. And I think that seemed to get in some of those players' heads a little bit, because they all
take note of that.
Yeah, all of them talked about it.
I think that was Susie Rams, who writes for SI.
Yeah, they were legit just who was that? No. Where did they live? Yeah, so I mean, I think that probably got in their heads a little bit too, and they're all no, we're making the playoffs and we're going to show you why. And that's what they did, especially in that first half.
I think also, coming back to what Jessica mentioned about the Breakers players, also, I think beyond that, perhaps one person with something to also really prove was Vlatko. Casey was really nasty in the whole sense where they didn't give him a contract for this year. Irrespective of the fact that they did fold, but management did not send him a contract. So that, I think, he is here to absolutely prove why he's one of the best coaches in the league. I think also one of the aspects to why you would give someone like Vlatko, some incredible credit. Look at the team that he's had over the years, and you would realize that he was absolutely strapped. uh, there was not one international that he had on board. I mean, except for I think the last season he had I think I'm not mistaken, someone from New Zealand I think played on the team, but even she was drafted straight out from college. So you know, not having access to talent, not having access to perhaps give the players in the squad the best kind of facilities around, uh, to come from that space to a spot know that there is everything here in terms of who he wants on that squad, the backing that the Predmos give him to kind of go out and procure talent of that caliber. Uh, to the sense that you know that the players will be taken care of as well once they are here. Uh, I think he is absolutely here to not just showcase what he is all about, but also showcase what he can do with talent of that caliber. So yeah, I think I'm totally excited now. I am so thankful that we are still one of the holding out, and not just holding out. I think we're doing a fantastic job. Uh, Also keeping in mind how reluctant Seattle has been to come out and support the team.
Yeah, I think, Pino touched on it in the season ticket holders event. Like, we're known to be the soccer city, but where are you, Seattle?
Mhm.
There's only so much you can blame on Memorial, Memorial Boulder.
True.
It's the seats aren't all that comfy, but there's actually some big advantages to it. I got to say, particularly as someone who's there with a kid, and that there's more space for him to move around. So he doesn't get. This is my selling it to the people with kids. There's more space for him to move around, so he's not quite as bored in the seats. Because as much as the dude loves soccer and he loves soccer, he still is a 7-year-old, and so he gets restless energy and he moves around. There's more space for that, but also as a season ticket holder, it's awesome because if I want to have more people come with me than I have tickets, we just buy an extra ticket and they come sit next to me, and it's not a big deal. Like, I don't have to arrange it with the 5 other people who've been, coming there for 6 years, so I can have a friend sit next to my group. We can just have people come. So there are some advantages to the stadium. It's old, but damn it, it's home.
And it's got those lovely
Yeah,
seats.
sorry, what?
Show, I gotta say, and every there's not a bad seat. Well, okay, there's those big posts, so I guess you're sitting behind the post, so I could be a bad seat. But other than that, you're close to the field wherever you are in that stadium.
No, and for all practical purposes, I mean, if you are there cribbing about the stadium, you're there cribbing about facilities, for example, come there in numbers, make it worthwhile for the team to either upgrade facilities or move to a facility that makes more sense to them.
Yeah,
and
the challenges in Seattle is that there currently is just
for the fact that
there's no other option.
Yeah. And thankfully the Predmos haven't really been in a space where they're asking the city for funds to build a damn stadium. But it's like, why wouldn't you come there? I mean, it's not like we're asking you to live in Memorial. It's just a couple of hours.
That's just me. I just happen to live in Memorial. I feel home afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, speaking for somebody, and as well, like, speaking as somebody who doesn't get to go to those games live, it makes me crazy to think that there are people who don't go and support that team. Because if I could teleport every single game and sit there with everybody and watch, that's right, dude.
Yeah,
you got it. Like, I so would. Like, I even job search in Seattle like every single week because I want to go see that team. Like, I would move there for that team, but there are people who live there who aren't paying to play. And I'm like posting all these videos of like Pino's goals and stuff like that, and I'm like, look what you're missing. What are you doing with your life? It's crazy. Crazy.
I mean, there's so many challenges. You know, Seattle is a liberal city-ish,
Yeah.
but you know, even within that, like, so the dude has this friend Oliver, and Oliver's family went up to Vancouver. I think they went to go see a Penguins game, and then came back. And I happened to ask Oliver offhand, you know, how his trip to Vancouver was. And you know, he's 7, like huge, like big into soccer, like even more than the dude. And he says to me, he goes, we were at the hotel and we were in the hot tub, and then we saw these 2 girls and they had shirts that said USA soccer on them, and then they took their sweatshirts off and they got in the hot tub, and then, you know, and do you know that there's this team that, like, in the whole country only like 23 people get to be on that team? And yeah, so they were in a hot tub with Julie Ertz and Alyssa Nair.
Wow.
And he had never heard of the U.S. women's national team. I know his mother. I was like, Blair, the heck? How do you see your son not? Like, you guys are coming. So he says that, and I'm like, yeah, we've heard of the U.S. women's national team. And I tried to explain about the rain, and I was like, you know, Carson's got to meet, you know, Megan Rapinoe, and he apparently never heard of Rapinoe. So I fixed that and schooled the boy on that. I know, right?
Wow.
But you know, like, even for the people who are connected in soccer, I feel like either they don't know about it or they're not as dialed in to the women. Even in households where I know that the mom is like into sports, like in that family, his mom is the one who's into sports. Like, his dad will go and he enjoys it, but it's definitely his mom who's driving it. And I'm like, okay, so you guys are coming with me to a game. That's just going to happen.
Perfect.
Yay. Awesome. So cool.
Sorry to derail with that anecdote, but it just killed me. Like, there's this team and only 23 women get to be on it? Okay.
Poor kid.
He was expecting my mind to be blown, I think, is what he seemed like surprised that we weren't surprised.
You were like, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Cool. So I think we pretty much kind of moved through everything that could have been talked about the match on Saturday. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rons.
Thank you. Possibly the next few weekends for the rain. Hopefully we will also definitely work on a forecast where we will talk about the match for the coming weekend. Yeah.
Right.
We will say goodbye. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Rain.
See ya.